Millions of people now drink protein shakes every day. Protein yogurts, protein bars, high-protein snacks. Protein has become one of the most marketed nutrients in modern diets. But does all this protein go straight to your muscles? Is more always better? How much do you actually need? And if you don't exercise, is extra protein useless or even harmful? In this video, we'll answer all of these questions. But to understand protein and muscle building, we first need to understand what protein actually does inside your body. Protein is not just muscle food. It is one of the fundamental building materials of life. Proteins are made of smaller units called amino acids, often described as the body's building blocks. After you eat protein, your body digests it by breaking it down into these amino acids. Those amino acids are then absorbed into the bloodstream and used as raw materials to construct and repair tissues, produce enzymes, create hormones, support the immune system, and maintain nearly every structure in your body. Muscle happens to be one of the largest protein reservoirs, but far from the only one. Hair, skin, organs, blood components, and many signaling molecules are also protein-based. So protein is not optional. It is essential. When you eat protein, whether from chicken, eggs, beans, or a shake, your digestive system begins breaking it down. In the stomach, strong acid unfolds the protein's structure while enzymes cut it into smaller fragments. In the small intestine, additional enzymes break those fragments into individual amino acids. These amino acids are then absorbed through the intestinal wall into the bloodstream. At this point, the protein you ate no longer exists as protein. It exists as a pool of amino acids circulating throughout your body, ready to be used wherever needed, just like building blocks. Once amino acids enter the bloodstream, they travel throughout the body and are taken up by cells that need them. These cells actively pull them inside through specialized transport proteins in the cell membrane. Inside the cell, amino acids are assembled into new proteins according to genetic instructions, essentially like rebuilding complex machines from small parts. Your body constantly monitors its needs and directs amino acids toward processes like repairing damaged tissues by rebuilding its structural proteins, producing enzymes that control chemical reactions, creating hormones and signaling molecules, building immune cells and antibodies, replacing old proteins that are continuously broken down, supporting organ and metabolic function, and yes, building or repairing muscle fibers. But muscle growth is not automatic. As mentioned earlier, amino acids are sent where they are needed at the moment. And muscle cells only increase protein construction when they receive a signal from resistance exercise. But we'll explain this in more detail ahead. So how much protein do you actually need? Protein needs depend on body weight, activity level, age, and goals. For the average sedentary adult, the minimum recommendation is about 0.8 grams per kilogram of body weight per day. If you're physically active, your needs increase. Light activity typically requires about 1 gram per kilogram. Regular exercise falls around 1.2 to 1.6 grams per kilogram. Strength training or muscle gain may benefit from 1.6 to 2.2 grams per kilogram per day. Older adults often need higher intake, at least 1.2 grams per kilogram, to help preserve muscle mass. For example, a person weighing 70 kilograms would need roughly about 56 grams per day if sedentary, around 84 to 112 grams if active, and up to about 150 grams for intensive muscle building. These numbers may sound abstract, but protein adds up quickly in normal meals. A typical cooked chicken breast contains about 30 grams of protein. A can of tuna provides around 20 to 25 grams. A piece of salmon gives roughly 22 grams. One egg contains about 6 grams, so 3 eggs already provide close to 20. A large serving of Greek yogurt can add another 18 to 20 grams. Even a glass of milk contributes about 8 grams. Plant foods can also be substantial sources. A cup of cooked lentils provides around 18 grams. Chickpeas and beans offer roughly 14 to 15 grams per cup. Tofu typically contains 8 to 15 grams per serving. Quinoa adds about 8 grams per cup. With a balanced diet, most people can meet their protein needs without supplements. So, if normal food already provides enough protein, Why is every fitness guru recommending supplements? There are several practical reasons. First, convenience. A protein shake can deliver 20 to 40 grams of protein in seconds. No cooking, no preparation, no cleanup. Second, calorie efficiency. Protein powders provide large amounts of protein with relatively few additional calories, which can be useful for people seeking to gain muscle mass without adding significant extra body weight. Third, speed of absorption. Some supplements, particularly whey protein, are digested rapidly and quickly raise blood amino acid levels, whereas solid foods require longer mechanical breakdown through chewing and gastric digestion before nutrients are absorbed. Fourth, precision. Standardized scoop sizes allow exact tracking of intake. Importantly, protein powders are not nutritionally superior to real food. Whole food proteins are absorbed just as effectively. Powders are simply a convenient, concentrated option. They can be especially practical for athletes or bodybuilders with very high daily targets, where meeting needs with food alone would require large volumes, for example, several chicken breasts per day. For most people, supplements are useful but unnecessary when a balanced diet already provides the daily protein goal. Unlike some myths, your body can absorb most of the protein you eat in one sitting, but muscle protein synthesis can only proceed at a limited rate. Once that capacity is reached, additional amino acids are redirected to other needs throughout the body, such as tissue maintenance and protein turnover, and if those demands are already met, the excess will ultimately be used for energy. Therefore, it is recommended to spread protein intake across meals, aiming for roughly 20 to 40 grams per meal, depending on body size. This helps maintain a steady supply of amino acids for repair and maintenance. So when you perform strength training, your muscle fibers experience microscopic damage. Your body repairs these fibers and reinforces them, making them slightly thicker and stronger. This process is called muscle protein synthesis. Exercise becomes the signal, and protein provides the raw materials. After training, muscle cells become more sensitive to amino acids, blood flow increases, and growth signaling pathways are activated. Consuming protein during this period supports this efficient repair by supplying amino acids in response to the sudden increase in demand. But without the training stimulus, amino acids are primarily used for maintenance and other functions rather than muscle growth. What happens if you eat more than you need? Your body cannot store excess protein the same way it stores fat or carbohydrates. Surplus amino acids are broken down. The nitrogen component is excreted mainly through the kidneys, while the remaining structures can be used for energy or sometimes converted into glucose. For healthy individuals, higher protein intake is generally safe. But beyond a certain point, extra protein does not produce additional muscle growth, even after very intense training. So when you drink a protein shake or eat a high-protein meal, nothing magical happens to your muscles. That protein is first broken down into amino acids, circulated throughout the body, and used wherever there is demand. Muscle growth only occurs when exercise creates that demand, because recently stressed, micro-damaged muscle fibers signal that they need repair, drawing in amino acids to rebuild and strengthen the tissue. Understanding these mechanisms helps you make informed decisions about nutrition rather than relying on marketing claims. If you'd like to see more clear, science-based explanations of how the body works, subscribe to the channel. And feel free to leave a comment with topics you'd like to see covered next. Thank you for watching this video.